Welcome to TotalMD. In today's video, we're going to cover reports and the Document Center. The Document Center is an additional item that you may or may not have purchased. So we're going to go ahead and cover reports first. And if you're interested in learning how the Document Center works, you can stay on and continue to watch the rest of this video. Reports are found in various places throughout the system. The idea of that is that the reports are easily accessible based on where you need them. For example, if I go to my scheduler and if I click Print Superbill, it gives me the option to print out my Superbill right from here. However, I can always go to the Reports screen up here at the top, and that gives me access to all of my reports. The report screen is laid out quite nicely. We do have different categories that each report falls under. Your favorites category is the default section of reports that you'll see when you open the reports list. Favorites can be added or removed by the user simply by clicking Remove from Favorites down here at the bottom, or when you find a new report you'd like to add, this button changes from Remove to Add to Favorites. We then have a number of different categories. Statements is going to show you all of the different types of statements we have available in our system. Financial reports are going to help you run reports to see where you stand financially. Statistical will show you different analysis reports, such as how many Medicaid visits, patient age and gender breakdown, etc. Marketing is going to refer to patient labels and also birthday lists. Claim forms are the different claim forms that come with your system. Other reports simply fall under a miscellaneous category, such as the patient information form, single patient labels, prescriptions, etc. And then the All category here on the left, of course, is going to show you all reports. One of my favorite options here in the top of this screen is the search space. There are often times when you're first starting with the program that you're not quite sure what the name of the report is that you're wanting to run. So the search space does a search by character. So if I start to type the word statement in this field, before I even finish typing the whole word, it's already filtering through all of my reports to try and find whatever I've typed thus far. So by typing the word statement, it shows me any report with the word statement in it. If I want a family statement, I can add the word family to this search space. It shows me any report that has the word statement and family in it. And it's searching through both the name and the description. A common question I do get is, how do I find a report that allows me to search for a specific procedure code to see some statistics regarding that code? Oftentimes, if you just type the word code, you'll be able to see a number of different reports that might suit your needs. For example, diagnosis code analysis. That is one report that lets you analyze how many of each diagnosis code you've used. Another report could be the patient statistic report. The description will show you exactly what that report is supposed to tell you. The added benefit to this screen is that at the bottom of the screen, you do have a display for what that report might look like. Keep in mind that the display is sample data. It does not show your office's information. It's just a preview of what that report may tell you if you did run it. You can move this bar up and down so that you could see more or less of the sample based on what you're looking for. There is 2 scroll bars on this screen, one for the sample and one to scroll through your list of reports. Some of you may have the option here at the top of your screen that says "Can't find your old reports, search archived reports." The archived reports are the old reports package that you had prior to the version of the software that you have now. So if I had a favorite report that I used to run that I can no longer find in my reports list, all I have to do is click this Search Archived button, and I'm able to search through any old reports I might have had here. Once you find a report that you'd like to utilize once again, you can simply run it from here or move it back to your main list from the options menu if it's something you'd like to continue to utilize and not have to go to your archived reports for. I'm going to go back to the main list of reports. and go through a few of these other options in our options menu. If you are a computer savvy person, you may decide that you want to go ahead and create a new report. We do have a report manual that we are happy to email to you for free. It is approximately 800 pages, so there's a lot of data in there. But if you're feeling up to the task, you can certainly give it a try. We also have the feature to edit the report. Keep in mind, if you edit a report yourself, we will not support the edited report. What that means is that if you take one of our original reports and modify it, and the modified version no longer works, we are not liable to correct or fix that report for you. We do have a custom report writer that works here with us at TotalMD, and he is available to create custom reports for a fee. If you have a very simple edit to do, you can contact the tech support team, and they may be able to help you with that, and are also able to give you a custom report request form if it turns out that's what you need for what you're asking. There are some simple modifications that you could do on your own if you would like to, that don't compromise the data within the report. For example, I'm going to go to other reports and find my patient information form and double click to run that to see what it looks like. We have a little blurb in the top right corner. Thank you for trusting us with your health care. We promise to do our best to provide you with the finest care available. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call us. If you'd like to change the wording under that item, that's something that I can show you. You're simply going to click that form and then hit the Edit Report button in the Options menu. Now you can clearly see that blurb of writing here on the side. If I click on it, I've selected that blurb to work with. And what we need to do to edit the wording inside of this label is to right-click on it, go to Lines, and it opens up the writing that we have within it. And here you can simply click and type. Perhaps I want to say, do not hesitate to call or email us. And then I want to add our office email address to this report as well. Once I'm done, I can click my OK button, and then I'm going to click here at the bottom of the box and drag it downward until I can see all of the wording that I've added. Next, I want to reposition the box. So I'm going to left click on it, hold my mouse down, and drag the box upward. That might be a little too high, so we'll bring it back down just a bit. And then we have this gray section in the background. That is a separate box we need to click on, and I can expand that up or down a little bit as well, and then reposition it where I'd like it. Once you have all the information captured in the box and you have it positioned where you'd like, up at the top of the screen you can go to the Preview section and take a look at how that will be displayed on your report after you save it. I can then go back to the Design tab here at the top and continue to add or move other items I'd like to. If you'd like to be rid of something that's here on this report, you can simply click on it. For example, we could get rid of the minor box that's here. If I want to select multiple items, I have to hold my Shift button down inside the report section to do so. I have both items with the gray points around it, and then I can hit my Delete button on the keyboard. Luckily, we do have an Undo button under Edit, so I can click that and bring back my box if I'd like to, but that's an easy way that you can get rid of an item. You can also move items around by clicking and dragging, and I can move multiple items all at once if I once again hold my Shift button and select all of the items I wish to move. Keep in mind the little boxes that people check off are separate items from the words next to the box. So I have this whole section for sex grouped together. Now I can hold my Control button, and while holding my Control button, I can use the arrow up, arrow down, or arrow side to side buttons to move this data around on my screen in a group. That's a great feature to help keep the spacing that's already existent in the report. You can also add a space here for additional information. What you'll need to do is go up to your toolbar menu and click the label option here, which is the A. Then simply click where you'd like to add it. You can expand this label, click and drag it, and move it elsewhere if you need to. I'm going to keep it here, and then it is labeled label 10. So in place of label 10, I'd like to put the words email and create a space for the patient's email address. So up here at the top, I'll remove the word label 10, and I'm going to type email with a colon and then an underlined space. Now, once again, I can go to my preview and take a look at how that gets displayed before I save the changes that I've made. Keep in mind, if you want to edit the font on this, you do have to change it here inside the label, and off to the right, choose a different style of writing. You can also change the size on that, and then let's take a look at the preview. Great. Once you're done making the minor changes that you'd like, you're going to go to File and Save As. I wanted to click Save to show you cannot save over a default report. So what that means is, unless you delete the original report, you will still have the original reports that we've created for you inside your system. To create this modified report, I'm going to go to File and Save As. It still has the same name on it because it was created off of that patient information form. I'm simply going to add an asterisk at the front of that to know that this is the one that I've created and save my changes. Now I can close that report builder, the report writer, and if I want to find that report I just created in the search space, I'm just going to put in my asterisk to quickly find it because that was our distinguishing mark. Here is that new form I created. There is no preview for that report, which is another indicator that this may have been custom built or modified from an original. However, I can run this simply by double-clicking on it, or to go to my options menu and preview the report or print the report if I just want to print it out. We'll go with preview report, and this is how it looks. Once again, we do have our printer button in the top left corner of this report. If I'd like to add this report that I modified to my favorites section, I already have it highlighted in blue, which shows you've selected that item. I'm going to go to the options menu and go down to add to favorites. You can also right click on this and get some additional options and add to favorites as well. And view report properties is another place that you can add this to your favorites list. The report properties is an important section of the reports because it does let you categorize which area this report goes into. The category lets you put it inside one of the different categories on the left side of the screen when you first open the report screen. The report type is what allows you to see that report under different drop-down menus as you work through the system. So it's important to choose an appropriate type of report based on where you want this report to populate. We're going to keep it under General, and we also will keep it under Other Reports. You can edit the description if you'd like to add in edited patient contract with email space. I did mark it to be on the favorites list. And then something else that's important here is that each report does have its own security clearance, which means only user levels 1 and 2 can currently run this report. If I want anyone in the office to be able to run it, I'm going to go ahead and select level 3, 4, and 5. So keep in mind, if you're trying to run a report and you get an access denied message, it's most likely because the report properties are not set for your level of access. Once you've edited the information you'd like to, you can go ahead and save your changes. If I go to my favorites category and remove the asterisks, you're going to see all of our favorited reports, including the one I just added to this favorites list. And it's there for quick access. Aside from your favorite reports, keep in mind that you can add these to your home page. So I clicked on the home button and took us there. We do have a space for common reports and daily activities. If I would like my new patient information form to be part of common reports, I'm going to customize my page, select my category, add a new category item, name this patient info, page 1. I want to just print the report. I don't need to preview it. And then here you can also just type the asterisks and it takes you to any report, and it does a key letter search or key character in this situation. So I'm going to go ahead and select that new report I created, tab through the end of my line, close the screen, and now we have patient info page 1 added to our home page for easy access for anyone else who might need it. And we're ready to print. Getting back to the report screen, I'm just going to use my back button. I want to go through a few other options you've got available to you as well. If you have the security access to do so, you can delete reports, although I don't recommend it. You might not feel like you need to utilize that report for anything right now, but down the road it may become pertinent. Keep in mind, if you're the owner or manager of the practice and you do not want people deleting reports, that is something that you can edit under the security settings under your setup button. You can also import and export reports and share with perhaps other offices that you're linked to that also have TotalMD. So if you've got a second location and they happen to commission a custom report from us, you can share that custom report with the other location that does not have it in existence yet by exporting that report to your desktop, saving it to an email, and emailing it over to the other office. The other office can download that report to their desktop and import the report from their desktop. And then it's important once again to just go to the report properties and make sure you have the appropriate data set up there in the properties section. Once again, we do have the option to search through archived reports here in the options menu if you happen to miss the button at the top of the screen. All of these menus can be shrunken, by the way, by clicking the little arrow up button if we want to eliminate what we've already reviewed so far. So here in my options menu under print reports, I can skip the preview by clicking print report. I can do a preview and then decide to print it, or I can run this report and save it to a file on your computer instead of actually printing it. This is a great way also to email data from the report elsewhere. This is not an export feature for the report format itself. It's actually going to save the data that you choose to run for that report and for the purposes of emailing it to your accountant or the doctor if he's requesting a copy of the office data in an emailed format. We once again have the option to view the report properties and add or remove from your favorites list, customize our view, which are these little blue headers, and then close the screen. Those are all of our functional options as far as reports go. So now we're going to talk about what the reports are that you actually have and how to use them. The most common reports you're going to use are perhaps a day sheet and a deposit slip. In the search space, I'm going to type the word day to see how many different options for day sheets that we have available. Currently, we've got 2 day sheets available in the system. I'm going to go ahead and pull our sample display up, and you can see the initial option is just a list of charges, payments, adjustments, and the provider in a line item view. The second day sheet report has a subtotal per patient for charges and payments and by provider as well. So depending on how you reconcile your patients, one of those may be your favorite report. Let's say, for example, it's the original day sheet. I'm going to go ahead and add that to our favorites. And now if I would like to run that report for today, I can either double click on it or go to preview or print report. And of course, we have the option to save it to a file. When you go to run the report, you do get a filter box that lets you search for specific criteria. For example, I only want data from today's date. I'm going to put the date between today and end the date as today as well. There is a shortcut for today's date. If you don't want to click the drop-down box or type it, you can always put T for today. If you do not choose a date range, the system will grab all data from the birth of your system. You do also have the option to choose a chart number range, and we want to capture all data for all patients today, so we're going to leave that blank. And then you can also narrow in on a specific account code if that is pertinent to your situation, such as how many office visits 99201 did you do today? So you choose the code, add it to the list, and then you can add any additional codes to this list as well if you're looking specifically for different types of office visits under today's date or whatever date range you specified at the top of the screen. You can also narrow in on a specific provider if you have multiple providers in the office so that you can pull data just for the one provider. If you only have one provider, it is not necessary to select that provider's name and add it to the list. It's automatically going to pull all information unless you filter in your search options that you want. And then once we have our parameters set up, you click the OK button. Now for today, we're not seeing any data pull up here, which means we had no one with those specific codes posted under today's date. So I'm going to go ahead and rerun that. That is a common mistake that people make and call into support thinking something's not right with their reports, when in fact they're really just putting in search criteria that doesn't match the data that they have available. So I'm going to once again preview that report, put in just today's date, and leave everything else blank and click the OK button. And as you can see, we do get our day sheet for the TotalMD setup practice. We do have our date range specified here. And if we had chosen a chart range, that would be listed here as well. In evaluating this day sheet, you're going to see that we do not have patient names on this particular report. However, if you remember, we do have the alternate day sheet that does have patient names and subtotal groupings on that report. So this one is simply for statistical data to show you any charges for today, any payments for today, and any adjustments as well for today by provider. At the end of this report, there is a total section. So it does show you the total amount of charges you had and the total amount of both patient and insurance payments. And then it will calculate any refunds from that amount and subtract the refunds from the payments to give you a total payment figure. The same is true for your production. We have the total amount of production, and then we have insurance adjustments and patient adjustments. Adjustments will remove money from the production for the day. Refunds will remove payments from the payments for the day. So you can look at this a couple of different ways. Ultimately, we do have a total reconciliation for your production and a total reconciliation for your payments. And then between those two figures, we have a total accounts receivable number that reconciles the gap in numbers here. We also see a total number of procedures, the average charge per procedure, and how much money in procedures is going out to the insurance company. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other day sheet and see how that compares. So I'm going to select it and hit preview report. Once again, put in my date range for today, T for today in both spaces as a shortcut. Click the OK button. And this shows that all of the transactions happened under one Mr. George Clooney today. And again, we've got all of the same charges here, all of the same payments. And then we have an accounts receivable balance for this individual patient. At the bottom of the report, once again, we do have the totals section, which is an accumulation for the whole day. I do want to point out that the day sheet is only going to show you transactions that have been applied to a patient's ledger. So if you've collected a payment that has not been distributed as of yet, such as this payment here for today's date, that dollar amount will not be showing up on your day sheet because it is not applied as of yet to the patient. However, $40 of that payment is here because $40 was so far applied. The day sheet is a great overall report for your statistical data for each particular day. Let's go ahead and take a look at the deposit slip and focus in on just the finances of the practice for today. So in the search space, I can type the word deposit, and here is our deposit report, and we also have a deposit slip. The deposit report is going to show you all payments that you have added into the system, regardless of whether or not they have been applied to your patient. The deposit report is going to show you all payments that you have begun to post under the payment section. So will also the deposit slip. The difference between the two is that the deposit report will show you how much of that deposit is unapplied, and the deposit slip is simply going to give you a summary of the total amount of the deposit. So think of the deposit report as a detailed breakdown of the payments that you've begun to post. The deposit slip is going to be a summary of those payments. You can see the deposit slip is going to have your patient's name, a check number if applicable, and the amount per each deposit or payment received. with a subtotal based on the type of deposit you've received. So we do have checks, insurance checks, and then we have cash payments, credit card payments. So we've got patient checks and insurance checks, cash payments, and credit card payments. I'm going to go ahead and run that for today's date. Once again, clicking Preview Report. Put in T for today, click the OK button. And today the only money that we did post is one patient check payment for George Clooney. Here's his check number and the total amount. We've received 2 insurance check payments with the check numbers and the grand total here, and 1 credit card payment for George Clooney. We don't have any cash payments on this report because we did not collect any cash payments for today. So it does eliminate excess data from showing up on the report, so you can cut right to the chase for what you did do today, not what you didn't do today. There is a subtotal section here at the bottom and a grand total of what your overall deposit for the day should be. In one of our previous videos, I did put in the bank account number, and you can see that that does show up on your deposit slip. The account name is the name of the practice that we labeled it by. And so some offices may want to separate the credit card payments out from this report and keep any checks or cash payments on it and actually print this report and take it to the bank as their deposit slip. If we go to our financial section of our options menu here, I can find some aging reports that are really important to look at periodically as well. We have 2 different categories for aging reports. We have the patient aging report, and we also have the insurance aging report. The insurance aging is going to show you a list of claims that have not been marked as being paid yet, and it is going to show you how old each claim is. Here is a sample below of our primary insurance aging. What that means is this is only going to show you primary claims. We do have a secondary insurance aging report and also a tertiary insurance aging report. Taking a look at the primary insurance aging report, you can see that it filters by the insurance code created along with the insurance company, the date of the last payment, and how old the balance is per item. This report lets you focus on which insurance company owes you the most money and how old those claims are. So you can really analyze each insurance company and see that Aetna US Healthcare has the most money in the 120 plus day category. We also have a primary insurance aging report with detail. As you can see looking at this detailed report, it gives you the patient's name, the claim number, the actual charges that are out to the insurance company on that claim, the patient's date of birth, first filing date, last filing date, group number and subscriber ID number, patient chart number, and then of course the insurance company's phone number so that you can easily contact them off of this report with all pertinent data listed right in front of you. I do want to point out when working this report, you most likely are going to want to start in the 120 plus day column, highlight the claims that have a balance under that category, and work your way from right to left instead of left to right, because these are the oldest claims that you're waiting on payment for. So you want to try and catch those as soon as possible. If I take a step backwards for a second and just pull up the filter box once again for that report, I do want to point out that we have the opportunity to eliminate claims that were created in a more recent date range. So it lets you choose to see all data that was created before a certain date. For example, I want to eliminate any claims that were done in the last 30 days. So I'm going to go 1 month back and say I want all claims created prior to October 8th. You can also narrow your search by insurance plan or provider or what facility those claims are attached to. The secondary and tertiary aging reports work the exact same way. We do also have a couple patient aging reports. The patient aging reports are designed to show you what patients owe you money, the patient's responsible balance is. The first patient aging report is going to show you what patients owe you money based on the date the first statement was sent to them in a summary view. The detailed report is going to show you the specific charges associated to that patient, the date they happened, and also the aging data with the same patients as the summary view. And then you have the patient responsible aging report by statement date. This report's different from the first two. It's running the report based on the patient's balance, not based on the charge associated with the patient. So the first two reports are going based off of the transaction date. This third report is going based on how old the balance is for the account. And then we do have a statement in here with patient aging data that you could send electronically through your clearinghouse. Another report that's really handy outside of the patient aging and insurance aging report is going to be your appointment list report. You can filter this by date range as well, and it'll print out in a summarized view the date and time of the appointment, the patient coming, the provider they're seeing, and any notes attached to their appointment. You could print this as opposed to a copy of the schedule if the doctor liked to see all of the note sections that are attached to the appointments. As an administrator for the practice or owner, another very important report is going to be the audit report. The audit report is going to tell you which user in your software did what action. For example, if someone deletes a payment, you'll be able to run the audit report to find out who deleted the payment. The different types of items that this audit report is looking for is transaction detail, deposit detail, appointment detail, and prescription detail. And it's looking for any action that would change, edit, add, or print any of these above items. You do have a date range section if you know what date approximately the occurrence happened that you're looking for, or if you're just looking each day to see what your staff is doing. You also have a section for user code if you'd like to search based on a particular user. If we take a look at today's audit report, and click our OK button, I want to give you a brief rundown of how this report works. It's going to have the date the transaction change happened, the time, and it's going to tell you what type of item we're looking at. So this is saying transaction deleted. The old value is attached to George Clooney, and it's saying that this $25 copay was deleted and the new value is nothing. So that's a pretty clear indication that user number 1 deleted the payment for the $25 for George Clooney. The deposit was also deleted. Remember, the transaction is what's on the patient's ledger. The deposit is what shows up under the payment screen and is perhaps unapplied. So the transaction from his ledger was deleted, and then the actual deposit was deleted from the payment screen. Going down a little bit further, we can see changes to the appointment. So the appointment for George Clooney has changed. The old value is what it was prior to the change, and the new value is what it changed to. That's just a quick idea of how this report works. If you need additional assistance, please do contact the training department for help. Another great report to use is the accumulative totals report. This report is actually going to show you in the date range you specify, be it 1 day, a week, a month, a quarter, how many patients were seen in that date range, what your production was or charges, total adjustments, and then your net production, and then collections numbers and a breakdown of that to give you a total accounts receivable for the time frame you choose. We also have an accumulative totals report for multiple date range, where you can put in date range number 1 and date range number 2 by using the range 1 and 2 tabs. I'm going to leave everything blank and just open it up and show you that it has a year-to-date section by default. It has 2 separate date ranges that we could have plugged data into. So this is great for comparison information if you want to compare the month of November last year to the month of November this year, for example. We do have a patient list that is just for active patients. We have a report called Billings with a Credit Balance, which is going to generate a report for any patient that has a billing number that has any kind of credit on it. So you can make sure you either transfer that credit to a charge and apply it somewhere, or that you're aware that that patient has an existing credit. We do have a report called Charges in a Date Range. You do see the note here that this report is not a statement. The purpose of this report is for you to print out a summary of the patient's charges in a specific date range that they choose. This is not to be used as a bill for the patient. It is just to show them a summary of what has happened in that date range you select. We also have a report to display any charges that have a credit on them, which is different from billings with a credit. The billings with a credit report is for the whole billing number. Charges with the credit will give you specific details as far as what charge has too much money attached to it. So you can go in and reassign that credit to another item so that each particular charge has a zero balance and the account stays as current as possible. We do have a claims by batch report, which will show you a batch of claims that was created, the total number in that batch, and the total charges going out in that batch. Another handy report is contract allowed comparison, which will help you assess per insurance company the contracted allowed amount, maybe to help you analyze if you should be in network with that insurance company or not. The day sheet and deposit slip we already went through at length, and those ones that you're going to want to run daily. Another important insurance report is procedures not on a claim. You'll definitely want to be checking this weekly, if not daily. This report is going to show you people with insurance that have insurable items that should be on a claim, but a claim was never generated. Another great financial report to take a look at is the provider financial report. When you double click to run it, it does allow you to put in a date range and choose a provider as well as a facility. And that report is designed to show you a snapshot of the time frame you chose of the charges, write-offs, insurance payments, take-backs, patient payments, and adjustments. Another great report to look at is the referring provider detail. This is going to show you all of the patients that have been referred to your office by other providers if you'd like to send thank you letters or updated clinical summaries to these providers. We also have a statement list with balance. This is going to show you what patients have received a statement and the last date and what balance they currently are carrying. And the super bill report is a great one to have on your favorites as well, along with the walkout receipts that we've reviewed in a previous video. I want to go ahead and focus on statements for a moment that you might send the patient monthly in bulk. I've shown you in a previous video how to create a statement for a patient, just for a single patient from their ledger. Now this is how you create statements in bulk. You're going to go to Reports. You can click on Statements or type the search word statement. Either way, you'll be able to find the report that you're looking for. We have family statements and patient statements. So if you do whole family account billing, then you may want to send family statements so you're not sending multiple envelopes to one household. If you prefer to do patient billing, you've got the same options under patient as you do family. We do have family standard statement for patients with a zero balance and family standard statement for patients without a zero balance. If you're sending these to a household in bulk, most likely you're going to choose the statement that does not have a zero balance. The purpose of this statement is to send a bill to your patient or to their family, as in this case, based on their total account balance, regardless of who owes it. What I mean by that is the responsibility statement is designed to only ask the patient for money owed to the office for claims that have closed already or have been paid already. The standard statement includes pending claims and closed claims. So regardless of who is responsible for the balance, the standard statement is going to show all charges if there is a balance. The responsible statement will only show the charges that there's a balance for closed claims. Depending on the nature of your practice, you can choose to use whichever one suits you. To send statements in bulk, what you'll do is double-click on the statement you'd like to send, leave the head of household range open. You may choose a provider code if you wish, and you may choose a facility if you wish. I'm not going to select anything in this screen because I want to capture all data. So I'm simply going to click the OK button, and I have one statement that we've generated for Matt Damon, and his bill occurred in March 2014. So regardless of the age of the balance, if it is older than 30 days, you will receive a statement for that item. If it is less than 30 days old, you will not be able to generate this standard statement from the report section because those charges haven't aged long enough. So keep in mind that the new statements we have out have a 30-day timer on them. So after 30 days, you will get a statement created for your patient. Prior to the 30 days, you will not. If there were multiple people in my demo practice that had a balance, at this point, I would have them all generate and it would tell me how many pages we have available. Then I would hit my printer icon and print them all at once. As it is, I just have one patient in my system that is eligible to have a statement printed. I do want to point out down here at the bottom of the statement, you can see the aging of the account balance. So his total account balance is 120 plus days past due. So the main difference between printing statements in bulk versus per patient is where you do it from, either from the reports list or from the patient's ledger screen. That's going to conclude the reports that I'm going to review for today. Please do take some time and look through all reports and see what's available to you and read the description. There are lots of reports in here, and not to mention, if you do have archived reports, you still have access to those up here at the top. If you do have any additional questions regarding reports, please feel free to contact the training department. Let's go ahead and move forward to the Document Center. The Document Center is a place where you can scan in patient records, such as ID cards, patient information forms, HIPAA forms, and any sort of consent form that the patient might use. To access the Document Center, you simply must choose your patient name from the patient list by clicking on their name. You can also choose them from the scheduler if they do have a scheduled appointment. If I go ahead and select George's appointment and then click on the drop-down menu next to the double sheet of paper, which represents your TotalMD Document Center, I'm going to access the Document Center just by choosing one of these categories. We'll start with ID card. Once the TotalMD Document Center opens, on the left-hand side, we have the different files that you're able to access. The patient name is listed here at the top, and you have a preference of how you're sorting your documents once you have them in the system. A lot of people ask if they can add additional folders to this section, and yes, you can. To do so, you'll go to the File menu, Program Preferences, and then click New. And a lot of people want to create a folder for EOBs. So we'll use that as an example. The source is indicating, are you scanning something into the EOB folder from a device? Are you uploading something from an image file, which is a stored image on your computer? Is it a templated document, or are you adding a printed document to this section? More than likely, you've received an EOB in the mail, and therefore we would choose device. If you do receive electronic EOBs, then you could use the printed document as your option and simply print the EOB from your screen into the patient's Document Center after tech support has that pathway set up. For now, we're going to choose device. The icon are these cute little icons on the left side of the file name. So if you hit load, you may be able to choose an icon from your system. And the device is what scanner will you be using in your office as the device. Then I'm going to save this and close my screen, and now we've got an EOBs folder. So the EOBs folder is now going to work the same as the scan documents or the ID cards. Basically, they're all scans. What you need to do in order to scan something is to choose the file that you want to scan it into. ID cards would be for insurance ID cards, or any sort of patient identification card like a driver's license or social. So I'm going to choose the file, and then up here at the top middle of the screen, we're going to click Add ID Card. Once you click Add ID Card, you'll typically get a pop-up box on your screen that is the scanning properties for what you're about to scan. In my case, I have a neat scanner attached, so I have a neat scanning pop-up box. It lets me change the resolution and the color. And just a tip for you all is that color scans take up a lot more room than black and white or gray scans. The standard resolution setting should be okay, but you can play around with that as well. I do have brightness, contrast, and gamma on my scanning properties. You may not have those additional options, but basically set up the scan in a way that is going to work for you. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a business card into my scanner, hit my scan button, which you'll have on the box that pops up for you. Here's a copy of my scanned ID, quote unquote. Down here at the bottom, you have some additional information that you could plug in. For example, I'd like to name this business card instead of ID card. And then the description could be TotalMD trainer. You do have the ability to crop your image, to rotate it left or right, copy it to a clipboard, convert it to grayscale, delete the image, print it out, save it to a PDF, save the single image, add a signature to this, resize image to fit your page, resize image in general, or zoom in and zoom out. So you do have those additional options to essentially edit your capture before you hit the save button in the bottom right corner. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now under ID card, we have one ID card saved. And when I click on it, it does show me the name of that item and a preview of that item. The EOB section, ID cards, and scan documents all work the same. So just choose what folder you'd like that data to go into and scan away. Image file works a little bit differently than the scans. Essentially, what we're doing is just capturing an image of a file from our computer somewhere. So I click image file category or folder, and then up here at the top of the screen, I'm going to click add an image file. I choose where the file is stored, for example, on our desktop. And then I'm going to find the file. For example, I have a report that I saved here. At the bottom of the screen, it's going to display the different types of files that you are able to save into this section as an image file. You can choose the All Compatible Images option, and when ready, go ahead and hit the Open button. I just saved a copy of one of our reports to the desktop, and now I've grabbed it from the desktop to load into the patient's TotalMD Document Center. This is just one example of what you could load into here for the patient. So once again, down at the bottom, we have our options to rename this if we'd like to, plug in a description. The type is which category or which file this item is going under. So I'm going to name this Patient Info Report and save in the bottom right corner of the screen. Signed documents, the signed documents category. The signed documents file is a great section to utilize if you do have a digital signature pad. The way this works is you choose your file, click Add Signed, and then it brings up a templated selection of documents to choose from. Keep in mind you can create your own new documents or edit these documents if there's some data you'd like to change on them. We do have a couple different categories here on the left-hand side, and you can of course create new categories for yourself if you'd like, simply by right-clicking in this space and clicking New Category. And then once you have the category selected, you would click New if you want to create a new document under that category. I am going to go ahead and show you the patient registration category and the financial agreement under that category. And so if I have this document exactly the way I want it and I'm just ready for the patient to sign that, down at the bottom of the screen, I'm going to click Use Selected Document and pull that open just a little bit so you can see it. And if we look here down at the bottom of the screen, you can see George Clooney's name already added to this document. That's because we have merge fields in the system that will merge specific points of data onto the place designated for that. Off to the right, you do see the pound sign or hashtag patient responsible party signature. And so in this space, George's signature is going to replace this space here. So at the top of the document, I'm going to click Sign, and we are ready for George to sign away. And once he's done, the computer accepts that signature, and there is a space for the doctor to sign as well, if that is pertinent. So I'm going to click Sign Now. You can also change that to Office Administrator's name if you don't have the doctor available to sign these documents. And we've got two signatures now on file. I'm going to hit my Save button. And if you scroll down towards the bottom of the document, you can see George Clooney with his signature next to that and today's date, the doctor's signature and today's date. If I were to choose to print this document from the top section here, it is going to print with George's signature on it, as well as the doctor or office administrator. And the great thing about that is we never had to print out a sheet of paper in order to capture that signature. If you do have a digital signature pad, you can use the signed document section to have a number of different documents become signable. Please keep in mind that the signature pad is strictly for a signature. It does not accept any other additional data. So if you're hoping that the patient can fill out their registration form with the signature pad, that's not going to be the case with the signature pad. The printed document section is going to need to be set up by our tech support team. And the idea behind this is that your TotalMD Document Center can actually be a device that you choose to print to instead of an actual printer. A lot of offices may look up their patient's insurance benefits online, and then they want to print out a copy of that information, so they store that in their file. Instead of actually printing paper, you can hit the printer button, choose the document center to print to instead of your printer. Once you do that, it'll allow you to select a patient's name to store that document under, and it ultimately gets saved under printed document. The last file we have here is patient letter, and I can click Add Patient Letter. You will notice that these are the same templated documents that we have under signed documents. The only difference is the signed documents are the documents that you have a signature on that you've stored for the patient here. Patient letter is going to track what documents you've issued to the patient, or it's going to be a way for you to simply just print something out to hand off to the patient. For example, if we would like to print the Notice of Privacy Practices or the HIPAA form as it is, we can select it, click Use Selected, and it'll pull up the Notice of Privacy Practices. You can then print this document out, and then under Patient Letter, it does show that you've actually issued that document to the patient. Of course, if this is a signable document, you're going to go ahead and utilize that under the Signed Document section. I do want to show you that you can create new documents and create them to be signable if you would like to, and how that works. Or you can edit an existing document. So what we'll do is choose the Notice of Privacy Practices and hit the Edit button. I would like to add the practice name to this document so your patient takes it home and knows that this is the HIPAA form for your practice. So up here at the top of the screen, I have my cursor blinking. And keep in mind, the document builder very much works like a Word document. You can click and type information, or we do have some specific merge fields that you can utilize on the right-hand side of the screen. For example, the patient's chart number, the patient's first or last name or middle initial, or their full name, the address for the patient, phone numbers, referring providers, etc. So down here towards the bottom, I do have practice name. To utilize that merge field, I'm simply going to double click on it, and it's going to insert it where my cursor was. If I click File and Save, close this, and then go to use that selected document, I just want to show you that it does merge your practice name onto the document, since that's what I asked for. Getting back into this document, once again, you can click and type, or you can utilize the merge fields on the right-hand side of the screen. One thing that's important to know is that after I've used a merge field, if I start typing something out, you do have to hit the space bar before the system will capture the first letter of what you've typed. So anytime there's a merge field and you're getting ready to type, make sure you hit the space bar before you begin typing that first character. That also applies if you are trying to hit enter and capture a couple blank lines on your paper. You do have to hit the space bar first and then the enter button in order to tab down and add a couple spaces in your document. So those are a couple tips as to how to properly edit your document. And of course, let me show you how to create a new document. So you're going to choose the category you want the document under, click New. You're going to name your document. I'll say that this is a new patient phone slip. Click OK. It does open up the document builder. You can center your data in the middle of the page if you'd like. Then double click on the merge fields you'd like to use. Keep in mind you can change the font and the size of the wording here, and we can also just type in the information if we don't want to utilize the merge fields. Hitting the enter button to get a new line and the space bar before you begin typing. If you do have a document already in Word format, you can copy that document and paste it into TotalMD Document Builder. The key is if you try to right-click to paste it in here, it will bring up other options than you're used to. So you're going to need to use your control button to paste that data. So once you've copied the information and set up your document and you're ready to paste the data, you're going to hold your control button and the V, and it will paste that data right into your document. Once you're done, make sure you do File and Save. Then you can close it, and you've created a new document to use to either become a signable document or simply a usable document under patient letter. I do want to show you how to attach a signature to this if you'd like to. I'm just going to edit that document and give a few spaces here, and that's where the meat of our document would typically go. So wherever my cursor is, if that's where I'd like to insert a signature, I'm going to click Insert Signature, put in the title of who would be signing the document, for example, patient or guardian, click OK, and then I can insert a second signature, and this might be office administrator, click OK, and that merge field is going to be replaced with the actual signature. You can put lines on the page, you can set this up in a way that makes sense for you. I'm just going to keep it pretty simple. Keep in mind you can only plug in 2 signature spaces onto any document. And remember, wherever the pound is, that's where the signature is going to go. So I'll hit sign. We'll go ahead and sign our lives away. The second signature, and save those to the document. And we've got the signature, and the date automatically populates as well because I did use the merge field of signature 1 date signed and signature 2 date signed. So that's going to be the date space for the day the signature was populated onto the form. Going back to the documents we've already generated from here, if for some reason you need to make changes to those, you can right-click on them and view or edit them, delete them, and you can even export these documents perhaps to your desktop or somewhere else that you need them to go. So since we do have a few items for George Clooney set up, if I need to access those items, I'm going to select George either from his appointment or from the patient list. I'm going to the top right corner of my screen and click on Patient Letter under the Document Center, and then I can click through whatever I'd like to view here, which the plus sign will indicate if you do have any documents under each category. This is a fantastic tool to help you organize the patient's paperwork and files and help your office go paperless. If you have any additional questions about either reports or the Document Center, please feel free to contact the training department. Thank you so much.